And welcome to another edition of Hoops Hidden Gems podcast. I'm your host, David Jones. Thank you guys for tuning in as usual. Man, episode 91. Thank you guys for being patient over these last 2 weeks. Had to finish up the last little road trips of the grassroots season. Was at the NCAA Academy as well as Adidas Nationals. And I'm glad to be in my own chair at home, taking it easy and talking to you guys. So we're back on schedule as usual. We coming on Mondays as usual, and thank you guys. But tonight, man, we got one guest and one guest only because parents, when I say this is important, this is important. We have Aisha Foy, NIL specialist extraordinaire on the show tonight. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you having me on your show.
Oh, now listen, thank you. Man, this this is so needed. And as we were talking backstage, this is a whole new world that a lot of people aren't familiar with. And with them not being familiar with this, a lot of times people don't know how to navigate. They don't know what questions to ask. And this is so important. This is beyond important. And like I said, I'm so excited to have you on because even though I'm the one asking questions, please believe I will be the one listening as well, because this is, this world we live in, and, you got to know how to move. And as I always say, knowledge is power and information is key. So let's jump right into this. You know, let's ask this before we get started. How did you get into this NIL field? That is, just out of curiosity.
Absolutely. So the reason why I'm super passionate about helping student athletes develop their name, image, and likeness is because when I was a student athlete, the same NIL activities that student athletes get paid to do now were the activities that I did when I was a student athlete, just for the sake of me wanting to be a better person and grow and be a professional and things like that. And I always say that NIL activities saved my basketball career because when you are actively building a reputation, you are working on yourself. You're working on how you want to present yourself. And, you know, sometimes you want to act a fool sometimes, and then you think about your reputation and you say, hold on. All right, let me think about that again. And, I kind of changed my ways, and I can get to a whole long answer about, what NIL activities done for me. But it's always been ingrained in me as far as helping athletes develop themselves outside of their sport. So once I got into coaching, could have went the coaching route, could have continued the coaching route, but
Mhm.
I've always been in tune, and I always been, just close to helping athletes figure it out off the court and build their brand and build their reputation. So at the time that the law passed, I was director of recruiting at the University of Kentucky. So, just naturally that became part of my responsibilities as far as helping athletes build their brand, helping them reach out to companies, understanding how to navigate it. And then on the recruiting side, as recruits will come in, they'll come in and they don't have a brand. They had no idea of really how to build a brand, how to talk to businesses and things like that. So I was like, well, this has been a passion of mine for years since I had graduated. I was probably 7 years outside of graduation, had published a book, published curriculum around building a brand and maximizing your student athlete experience. So it was pretty natural to me to just go ahead and help athletes in any way that I can, even not being associated with a school, so I can talk to whoever I want to talk to and meet them at the ground while they're being recruited so that when they get to college, they're already prepared.
I like that. Like you said, it's something that, you pretty much grew into, like you said, and it was one of those things where, you grew into it and you saw the need and slash the niche for this. And a lot of people, you're going to be such a blessing to so many people that have no idea how to even navigate these waters because, like we said, it's still so new. I mean, and it's new, but it's been around, as far as, sponsorships and, college athletes going out and building their own brand. And, sometimes they could get out there and, they would represent car dealerships or pizza places a lot of times. I know I'm giving away my age a little bit, but That's what it was when I
Yeah.
was coming through, because it was still very small. So, they may come through on a weekend, and especially if they were popular, like at the University of Kentucky, that fan base is insane. I worked I worked a contract at UK Healthcare, so I knew what it was. And
Yeah.
side note, you all know I'm a foodie. That pizza place downtown is legitimate. Legitimate. I love that place. It's like almost right across the street from the arena. When I say that pizza place is all that in a bag of chips,
Is it still there?
yes, it is. It
What
is
is it
still
called?
there. Oh my gosh. I'll post it. All you guys that are across the street from the University of Kentucky's Rupp Arena, go to that pizza place. It is amazing. I don't remember the name of it, but it's kind of like the specialty pizzas.
Mhm.
Listen, yes, I know I'm getting carried away on that, but usually when I go to different places, that is what it is. But no, when like Kentucky's, the North Carolinas, the Blue Bloods, the Michigans, any big Power Five, this is so needed because, yes, they have people on campus a lot of times, because you're starting to see a lot of universities hire people deal directly with NIL as well. And without them, and like when we start talking mid majors or even low majors, sometimes that's not in their budget to hire somebody full time to help with just NIL. And this is where you're going to come in. And now, I deal with D2 and NAIs, like even at NAIs at like some of your passionate states like Indiana, like those NAI schools can have NAI deals. There's D3 schools, like at some of these UAA schools. There was a young lady I met. Her dad was a broadcaster, just met him, and I went to a UAA game, Washington University versus Emory. She had 2 NIL deals. And that's where we're at. So a lot of times when you don't have that help, you can navigate this to the point where you can basically go out there and, I don't want to say hustle, that's a bad word, but articulate NIL deals yourself now.
Absolutely.
And you're seeing people do that, just like the young man that was at Norfolk State. Oh,
Raekwon Smith. Yeah, I
man,
got it.
I was like, bro, what are you doing? Like, and he was really the first one that made me start to say, okay, what's really going? Like, of course, I knew what NIL was, but like that's why I reached out to you, because like we're at this point now. Like, yeah, Raekwon was like just doing something just out of this world, but
Mhm.
now we need a blueprint slash making it mainstream so people can find a guide to say, hey, this is what you need to do. These are the basics that you need. Let's start there. Of course, I don't want people to have the idea like, oh, I'm about to get this money and I'm about to be making $1 million. No, that's not the case. But I want them to understand that, you build your brand, you build your image, the importance of having a clean image as well.
Mhm.
And that will attract you to, said company. You're closer to graduating with a good GPA. You're attractive. You're more and more attractive. You have a clean social media. You are attractive. And, like I said, we're just going to jump into this. And first question I have, I'm a freshman. I'm jumping into this one. I'm a pretty good freshman. It's with the understanding I'm probably going to play, get a couple minutes. Um, how do I approach this? How do I go to coaches? And let's say I'm not Power Five, so I'm coming to Coach Foy and say, I want to build my brand early because, you know, Lord forgive me for saying this. It's with the idea of I'm going to play 1 or 2 years and transfer up to a bigger Power Five school. You know the language. You know the language. So I want to have this in place by the time if I do well, or even if I stay 4 years and I'm have aspirations of being an all-time leading scorer and leading us to a D2 national championship or leading us to the NCAAs, whatever the case may be, what is your first step to say how to go about this?
Great question. Well, I would first say that if you're coming to me as a freshman in college, you're not early, you're late, right? So
Okay.
you should be coming to someone like me or starting to build your brand as soon as you are identified as a college prospect. So if you are saying, if you're in the eighth grade and you get your first offer, or if you're in the eighth grade and you're playing up and you're matched up and you're like, okay, I could get an offer. I know I'm playing at the next level or I aspire to play at the next level. You should start figuring out how you want to build your brand. And the reason why I say that is because the college athletes that I'm working with now is an uphill battle. Um, like when you get to college, it moves really quickly and you're
Mhm.
already overwhelmed with everything you have to do. You already should have some type of plan in place when you get to college so that you at that point you're just executing and continuing to, build your brand and things like that. But during the first session, I would say is figuring out what you want to do. Like, what do you want to be known for? And of course, your brand can evolve, but when you're building a brand, you need something to talk about. So right
Mhm.
now, like me personally, I'm building a brand around NIL education. So when people talk to me, when people know me for NIL education or recruiting in basketball recruiting, NIL education. So figuring out like what are things that are unique about you, what are some strengths to your personality, how do you want to communicate with your audience, what type of audience do you want to build. And really the first step is really a self-assessment. A lot of people start thinking about NIL way too late. They start thinking about it when they're about to go to college or they get a collective deal and they try and talk collectives. Like at that point
Yes.
it's too late. Like all of this, your personal value, um it should be going up against, you should be developing at the same time as you're developing your athletic value. So but to answer your question, at first sit down is like, what do you want to be known for? What brand do you want to build? How do you want to inspire people? How do you want to show up? And really understanding more about yourself, and then we take it from there.
Okay. So you take it from there. So you're saying, and that's a great point that you brought up. So in this day and age, like I said, the younger these guys are getting offers, or men or women that are getting these offers, you really need to they need to see you at those times, because like you said, the ones that are getting offers in eighth, ninth grade, it's pretty much they're going to be special. Yeah,
Mhm.
we'll have a good opportunity to be special. So this NIL stuff that we're talking about right now, it's for them, for those high schools. But I don't even like to say that now, because now, like you said, with those 4 and 5 star recruits, and now that NIL can touch high school now in some states, to your point of what you said, now not all states have jumped on board yet, but it's more like you said, that's something I need to clip, because you're saying, really, if you're in eighth grade and you're, showing that type of talent, depending on the state, and even if it's not, if you can get it in high school, you want to be prepared, like you said, because we all know once you jump on campus, it's, hey, how you doing? This is what your schedule is going to be like. Then you're going to eat at this time. You're going to sleep at this time. You're going to practice at 20 hours a week. You gotta get your studies in. Um, right now, school's getting ready to start. But oh, by the way, we're going to France or Italy, so
Mhm.
we're gonna be gone.
Yeah.
So all of this is hitting them so fast, and the fact that you're a freshman. Let's say you're at UK or you're at Ohio State or you're at one of those schools. They have 40, 50,000 students. So you're trying to adjust to all of that. And this is August. So in those first 2 weeks, you got people coming up to you, hey, how you doing? I know so much about you. So you might be from somewhere, yeah, you might be from New York City, but you might be from Madisonville, Kentucky. You know what I mean? And so that's really going to be a shock to the system, that you're going to that type of environment. So you're trying to learn, and then the time you're going to have to say, okay, I got my studies down. I got practice down. I got my workouts down. I got my individual time to work out to get better myself. Now I need this time to learn about NIL.
Too late to learn it.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that if you are in college right now, don't learn. Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm saying there's no need to wait. If you already know that you want to play in college, you need to start building a brand. And building a brand is a skill set that you're going to need for the rest of your life. So it doesn't matter if you're going to play D1, D2, NAIA. It's a personal skill that you need, like what you're doing. This is brand building. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So when you're trying to get a job, right, no matter how talented you are, you need to be trying to figure out how can you maximize your personal value with the platform that you'll have in school.
You just said something, and man, I'm going to play this like I'm approaching you for the first time, and I'm a D3 athlete. And, those high academics do very well, because they do very well getting those internships and all that good stuff. So back to what you said in that brand building. So if I approach you and say, hey, I'm a D3 athlete, doing pretty good, whatever, do we approach NIL in a different manner per se versus Power 5?
Yeah, I mean, so everybody approaches NIL differently. So every single person, you can be on the same team. Everybody should have a different NIL plan. So, but I'm glad that you brought up D3 because on the boot camp yesterday, we just had a D3 men's basketball player, Connor Prince, and he's the most endorsed student athlete, 120 NIL deals, D3. So I had to bring him on because people don't be believing me when I say you can do it on any level. Like it is a personal pursuit. It is an individual strategy. So that's why I wanted to create my program to help individuals understand that if you are like and this is no knocking at any school, it's silly work to depend on a school to build your brand. They want you to go to school to play their sport. They need you to play their sport. Now, even if they have somebody on staff, they're dedicated to you, but they're also dedicated to their employer, right? You need to be dedicated to your own brand and have your own brand strategy and use those resources to help enhance that. But if you rely solely on a school or really on a school to help you build your brand, that makes no sense at all. It's your personal brand. So you need to have personal resources to be able to help you navigate it. And you can talk to any student athlete that's succeeding in NIL, they're probably doing it on their own or they're pulling resources. Now, if they're doing something with the collective, that's completely different. That's one aspect of NIL. And yes, you take advantage of whatever that collective has to offer, but that can't be the entirety of your NIL plan.
Now, you're just leading me into next questions. Explain collective versus NIL because people don't understand the difference. I'm like, oh, what's collective? It's the same thing. No, it's not. I want you to explain that.
Okay, so the best way to explain it is there are 3 ways that you can make money in NIL, take advantage of NIL opportunity. The first way is brand endorsements. This is if I love going to Chipotle, I want to do an NIL deal with Chipotle, and Chipotle pays me $300 for a social media post promoting Chipotle, right? That's the Nike deal that Caitlin Clark got. That is Gatorade. That is JBL, the deal that Flajay Johnson got. Powerade, all those are brand endorsement deals, right? Powerade is doing business with Flajay, right? They're not doing business with LSU. They're not doing business with nothing else except for Flajay, right? JBL, they're doing business with Flajay, right? The collective is associated with the school. That is one deal. So that is if you hear like so-and-so got paid this amount of money to go to this school, right? That is a group of donors, supporters raising money to try to buy talent. So that is when you're talking about your player value. That is the school trying to buy talent and using those resources to buy their talent to get you to that school. But that's just one deal, right? And it's probably cash. It's probably a good amount of cash. But that's only one aspect of your NIL. Is important, especially if you can get into that 6-figure range, which some athletes do at the Power 5 level. But that's not something that you want to solely depend your NIL journey on. That's part of it, right? But We were talking about this yesterday at the boot camp, is that even your personal value, you can even not be as good. But if you have a strong personal brand, you can get more money from the collective because you have a strong personal brand, because your influence means more, right? You have to take care of what you got to take care of on the court, but at the same time, um, the university need ambassadors for the school, right? So the more popular you are, right? Angel Reese selling out games, Caitlin Clark, wherever she went to selling out games, that's because of their popularity of the school. So if you work on building your brand, you add more value to that school, you add more value to that collective, because now you're personable. Now the donors want to interact with you. Now the donors may be fighting over having dinner with you. And now you can up your collective check, because guess what? All the donors actually are requesting you now. So,
Mm-hmm.
so that's the difference. But specifically answering your question, what is the difference? Brand endorsements, Gatorade, JBL, Beats, things of that nature, actual deals with brands. Collectives is more so a deal with the school or something, an entity that's associated with that school specifically. And then another way you can make money, that third way, is through camps. I say this is your business. So this is like if you want to do camps, if you want to start a business, if you're doing merchandise, things like that, when you're actually starting your own business and using your brand to promote that business.
And that's why I asked that, because, a lot of people have come to me and said, hey, we eat at this pizzeria all the time. Would it
Mm-hmm.
be a good idea to approach the manager and say, hey, we would like, I would like to do some stuff for you. And
Absolutely.
and I look at that and I always say that's not a bad idea. I'm just not the one to approach in regards to this. But I like what you say, because some people, like you said, have created their own brand by approaching companies. Some of them are writing letters. Some of them are basically trying to get a board meeting to say, and they have a presentation that they're giving to these companies. And I think that's amazing as well. And, that's why I said, when I don't know, I've always been a team player. And I told you at backstage, if I don't know and we running the play, I'm passing the ball because I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
know. You go
I
shoot.
teach
It's
that
your
in my
time to shoot.
yeah.
Exactly.
In my curriculum, that's what we teach: building your brand, building your audience, building your pitch, reaching out to companies, repeat, that's what we teach in the academy. So
And just a side note, because I know I'm asking it now because I'm going to ask at the end of the show as well. Um, and you mentioned it as well. You just did a workshop the other day. Are you going to be doing these workshops every month? Are you going to be doing these workshops? Is it somewhere they can, go if they missed the live one? What's your strategy on that?
yeah, so the major NIL Success Boot Camp is once a year, but is recorded. So just like you watch anything on your shows, you can watch it on. So you go to majornilsuccess.com, register, and you'll get immediate access. The people that I had on the boot camp, the NIL director of the NCAA. I had two attorneys up there. I had a wealth advisor up there. I had the VP of marketing and branding for Quality Control Music and QC Sports. That all she does is pitch endorsement deals. So I brought the best people in, top experts in the industry to come give you game on what you need to be doing in different specific areas of it. So that's something that if you are a college bound athlete, or if you're in college right now, that's something that you definitely need to check out immediately. As soon as you go up there, sign up, register, you can get access to it and you can watch it. So the boot camp is once a year. I have something live probably once a month. Some months are heavier than others, but anything that I do can be found at majornilsuccess.com. But that boot camp is fresh. It's a wide range of different perspectives. So that's something that you definitely want to get and go through. And before you do anything, you want to check out something like that.
And that's why I said that, boy, I could pick your brain for hours in regards to this, because I mean, there's so much knowledge that needs to be learned. And like you said, I would have had no idea, if I would have been in that boot camp, the first thing I would have said is, hey, my son's he's going into his sophomore year, and great personality. He fits this right here. And we had mentioned it, and it's from a smaller perspective, from a D3 perspective. But I didn't have an idea of which avenue to go because, like a lot of people, my assumption was, he's not averaging 20 points a game. He's not a guy, and exactly. And that's why I said, this is so informative. And I mean, if you got some time, I got some time for this one here because I mean, this is so important. And, like I said, you've been a former coach as well. When I'm out at Adidas or I'm at Run for the Roses, Jesus, you know about Run for the Roses. But, when you're at these type of events and, they're approaching me as a media personality, yeah, we're talking basketball, but we talk about everything under the sun, whether it's landscape, NIL, whatever. And what you just said, it doesn't matter if you're not a star athlete. That should open every parent's ears and eyes right now that's listening, because it's the misconception, well, he's not all conference, he's not all American, he's not that, so it's not attainable. And correct me if I'm wrong, what you're telling me right now is I can go out there and pretty much build my brand and I could be at the end of the bench.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, your player value and your personal value don't matter unless you're talking collective. If you're talking collective, then you may talk about, oh, can't get $100,000 or $500,000 from the school. Of course. But what you can do is you can go get 10 $1,000 NIL deals. That's $10,000.
Yes.
And then you can get that company to pay you every month $1,000. And now you have $120,000 income. Like, it's nothing for a company to pay an athlete $1,000 to promote their brand. And then if you can get one, you can get 10. Like Raekwon has showed, as Connor has showed, he has 120 deals, right? So what I see a lot of parents, they talk themselves out of participating. And to me, it's insane because at the end of the day, your athlete has to have a job. So the skills that you learn in negotiating and pitching yourself and going to that pizza shop and asking, hey, I have value, I'm on the team. I was talking to an athlete the other day, and she's not being highly recruited, but she's a state champion in the state of Georgia. I'm like, you know how many eyes are on the girls basketball state championship?
Yes,
you know what I'm saying? Like, you're a state champion. Like, walk around like you a state champion. Like, stop saying, oh, you don't have the offer that you want. That's fine. What does that have to do with the influence that you have right now as a high school superstar? Because you might not be a national superstar, but you're a superstar in the state of Georgia, or you're a superstar in whatever city you in, right? And those companies, every company needs marketing. And every company, probably most companies, would love to tap into sports marketing and the use of an athlete's name, image, and likeness. So education is everything, right? And I always say, just learn, and then once you learn it, then you can say, can I do this or not? But don't count yourself out based off of no information or based off of misinformation. If Raekwon Smith isn't a good example of anybody that puts their mind to it, that put in the work, can successfully profit and successfully participate in NIL, I don't know what other example that you need. I mean, and then I got Connor up there that gave his a D3 student athlete, and he wasn't even playing for majority of the time when he was getting these NIL deals. So just education, and then finding good examples, and I'm happy to sit down with any parent and just give them ideas about what your athlete can do. Part of my services is just giving athletes and parents a personalized plan. And it's really up to the athlete if it's something that they're interested in participating in, because it is participation. Like, it's not, can I do it? Can I not do it? It's if I want to engage in the community, if I want to be a brand, if I want to be on that commercial or post on social media. These are things that either you want to do them or you don't. It's not, can I or do I am I good enough? Is if you want to do it, you know?
Absolutely. Listen, I'm up here to, excuse me, I'm interviewing, but I'm taking notes at the same time because listen, no, we joke a little bit, but in the same, this is important. And
Mhm.
like, if you can spread this knowledge, like I said, I have no problem being the assist guy. I'll have 20 assists tonight. Please believe that,
Hey, no,
because
I love it.
if I can, if I could just point people, what you're saying, if it has my mind boggled, I know people that have no idea about basketball and are like, I had no idea. Talk to the sister right here, please. She can help you. Let me go run the next play. Flex. Let me go run the next play. So, listen, what you're giving tonight is beyond valuable. I more than likely in another month or two will probably bring you back on,
Let's
because
do it.
this is, man, I like I said, I almost wish somebody else was asking the question so I could just sit back and be texting all of my friends saying, "Hey, man, you listening to this?" Because I mean, of course, like I said, when I mentioned Raekwon, you knew exactly. That let me know. I was like, okay, she's done her homework, so she knew who that was. And I don't even know the Connor person, but I will by tonight. Believe that.
Yeah, Raekwon was on my boot camp last year. He was a speaker on my boot camp last year.
Really? And,
Mhm.
and yeah, there's another guy as well. Um, he's kind of boot campish, but he's a numbers guy. What's it? Andrew, he's from Pittsburgh. Um, he's good as well.
With
Um,
NIL.
yeah, he's good with NIL, but his is more kind of like, hey, look at these numbers right here. Or, he tries to break down deals from a perspective of numbers and say, it's more, it opens your eyes. It's more like shock value, but yours is more educational. Like, he'll break down the deal and say, okay, here's the deal. This is what you're going to get. Have you thought about taxes? Have you thought about X? Have you thought about Y? And I'm like, okay, and it just kind of had me like, okay, Andrew Petcash, that's his name, Andrew Petcash. And his is enlightening, and it makes you want to tune in more. This has me like, okay, now let me go ahead. This is finals time. Let me make sure I have my my studies together, because it's a lot of times when people don't understand, when you have no idea and then you get some knowledge and it's time to run with it, you're giving me stuff I want to run with. I want to put my son and say, hey, bro, listen, you're not starting. You still can. And I know his eyes will light up and be like, what? And I'm like, yeah, this can happen. We're about to follow this blueprint.
All right, so this I want to break this down real quick. So
Mhm,
you have a personal value and you have a player value, right?
mhm,
You are a person. You have value, you have influence, you have a network of people, you have people following you. You can build your NIL off your personal value, right? The
mhm.
player value is completely different. It plays
Yes.
a part in it, but it does not diminish your personal value, right? So if you say you did a commercial or you trying to work with a company, these brands don't know your game, they don't watch your game, they don't care unless it's an athletic brand. Then they may want to see you do well on the court. But the
Mhm,
pizza place up the street, Taco Bell, Chipotle, all those places that would want to partner with you, they don't watch. They could if they, personally, but like the brand does not care. The brand needs to sell product. So if you're a person with influence in your community and you can bring influence and you can bring promotion to their product, that's all they care about. So they're not gonna be like, dang, bro, you ain't getting the game. Like they don't care. Like, they do not care about
But
any of
and
it.
that leads to what you're just saying, and I just want to intercede real quick while you're going further. Does that mean if he doesn't have 3 million followers or 500,000 followers, how much does that play into this?
I mean, the more followers, the better. But at the same time, like work with what you have, right? So, if you have an engaged audience, and again, everybody's situation is different, right?
Mhm,
So you'll evaluate it differently. But I mean, I can say any company, most companies will test with either free product or free food, right? So when you do the deal, you can sign an NIL deal, you can do an NIL partnership and get a $100 gift card, right? And then the company will test it, like, okay, is this worth giving you cash for this deal? So you can go out and get 20, 50 NIL deals, and they all can be product deals. And then you do the work on the back end, and the company will be like, okay, is this deal worth cash? So the more followers, obviously, the better, but also you want an engaged community, right? So building your brand is a constant lifestyle. It's constantly trying to grow your audience, grow your influence. But at the same time, like, you work with what you have, and then if growing your following is part of your plan. So if I'm a high school student athlete right now and I have about 7,000 social media followers, or even I have 5,000 social media followers, my goal would be, like, by the time I get to college, let me try and get to 10,000 so I can make more money, you know what I'm saying, with my brand deals. So all of that, growing your brand and growing your followers, all of that could be part of a plan that you implement to be able to make more money. But um, but it definitely doesn't have to be a million. You know what I mean? You can make stuff shake with 1,000 followers, 2,000 followers, 3,000 followers. It just depends on, a lot of it depends on your engagement. But yeah,
I
look
and,
what you got.
and you see, I'm just asking these questions because, like you said, okay, this is a D3 athlete, or he has 1,500 followers, or 2,000, or 1,000. You know, those guys are going to look at this, like you said, and just in learning real quickly on the fly. What you said, theirs is going to be more personal value over player value, right?
Yeah. I mean, everybody's different. So, like, your personal value, you want to increase your personal value, and your player value can increase your
Sure.
personal value.
Yes.
However, what I'm saying is that your player value does not diminish your personal value. Your player value does not is not going to deter you from getting deals with companies, right? Because they're not
Mhm.
watching you play. They don't care, right?
Yeah.
Now, it could be Gatorade. They're probably not going to do a deal with somebody that's not getting a lot of playing time or notoriety as a player.
Mhm.
But there are plenty of brands that will do work with you based off of your influence. So it's all about just sitting down with the person and building out an individual plan for that person. Also figuring out what that person's aspirations are.
And as we're talking, just forgive me. There's a young man I'm thinking of right now. I think his player value as well as his personal value is going to be very good. And I say that from a number of reasons. And I think you'll agree with me. I know a young man right now, he's probably going to be preseason D3 All American, and he's a pre med major. So I think personal value would be really, really good. And he's at a high academic school. So and I'm just breaking this down. And I'm thinking as I'm talking to you, like, okay, boy, he would be really good on both ends because he's going to help the school. He's going to be a preseason, more than likely, D3 All-American. He's a pre-med. He's looking to go to med school as well. So a number of companies had the clean-cut, polished type young man, high academic. You get where I'm going with this. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean?
Absolutely. I mean, a pre-med basketball player, that brings unique value already, right?
Mhm.
So, again, most people have something unique to bring to the table. They just got to find it and know that that is worth something, and not the problem with what I see athletes do, right? We're competitors. So we're comparing ourselves to the next athlete. And that's
Yes.
the furthest thing from NIL to do, right? The
Mhm.
only thing you can do as far as compete is play that sport, right? You either you play that game, doing that 40 minutes, you win or you lose. And at the end of the game, the competition is over with, right? Your personal value and you comparing yourself and what you can get based off of what somebody else is doing, it's not real. You know what I'm saying? That's not really real. So nobody is giving out an NIL deal based off who won, right?
Yeah.
Maybe in March Madness because they're capitalizing off of the March Madness
They're
audience.
capitalizing out for March Madness marketing. So
Right.
yes, I see what you're saying. Yes.
But other than that, right, like, the company, the pizza shop isn't gonna go to the game like, you lost to that dude. We didn't give you the deal. Like, they don't. Right, like, it doesn't take away from your personal resume and the personal things that you bring to the table, so
Let me ask this. And, like I said, I'm going to be full of questions on this.
yeah.
What about junior college athletes?
That's perfect. I mean, because basically, if you look at the age, you're basically is your freshman, your sophomore season of college,
Hmm.
right? So you should be building your brand at what you were probably 18, 19, 20 years old. You should definitely be building your brand at 18, 19, 20 years old. So all that does is help when it's time for you to go to a 4 year. Now you have a stronger brand. And now you're coming into that 4 year more mature than a freshman would. So you should definitely have a brand. You should definitely be building a brand as a JUCO player, especially if you already know that you plan to go to a 4 year when you finish, when you graduate from JUCO.
Another question. And again, my mind is spinning right now because I'm thinking of so many different scenarios. This one may hit home for you a little bit. Maybe it's a young woman, maybe it's a young man, whatever the case may be. Um, you know, they got into school by the skin of their teeth financially, and they're looking by any means necessary to be able to make it. And let's just say their scholarship, and you understand what I'm saying. Let's say their scholarship is stackable, right? So that we know they're not a D1 athlete. We know they're D2, D3, or NAI, right? And, you know, everybody wants to stay away from loans, right? And, they're looking for, hey, Coach Foy, hey, how you doing? I have this bill and I don't want to keep taking out loans. I would like to get 5 or 6 NIL deals to cover what Pell and what, my partial athletic scholarship doesn't cover. Have you had anybody come to you in that type of perspective yet?
I have, because they were looking to go Ivy League, and Ivy League
Oh,
can
yeah.
cover
Woo.
everything. So yeah, so I have had people approach me trying to cover part of their tuition. And I also see examples of athletes do that all the time. Like a lot of athletes that are actually pursuing authentic NIL is the athletes that are actually needed. They're like, oh man, I need this couple $1,000s for this flight. I need this couple $1,000s to cover my tuition or my books. Right. So the athletes that are truly participating in NIL are the ones that actually need it and don't have the full scholarships. So yes, and yeah, I mean that's definitely a reason to participate is to get money or even to get free food, right? That can go a long way if you don't have things covered. So, all types of reasons to participate in NIL, and really a big reason to participate in NIL is to get a job when you graduate. Um, Mr.
So
Derek
glad you said that. Yeah, I'm so
yeah,
glad. That was going to be my next question. So
Mr.
glad
Derek
you said
Coles
that.
gave the NCAA, the NIL director of the NCAA was on the boot camp yesterday, and he gave a great example of an athlete who wanted to be a lawyer. So she started doing NIL promo with a local law firm, and then guess what? They helped her pay for law school, and then guess what? She got an opportunity to intern with the company, and then guess what? She probably got a sure job, right? So, all types of reasons. That's why the biggest thing I say NIL is an individual sport. What
Mhm.
are your personal aspirations? Stop looking at the next person. Like you can have examples and like inspiration, but stop looking at the next person and thinking what you can't do. Like what do you want to do? And let's figure out a plan to help you get to where you want to be and how you can use your brand, how you can participate in NIL to get to where you need to be at. Not what somebody else doing or what somebody else getting.
I like that. I, man, you have my head spinning in a good way. Don't get me wrong, because everything you're saying is making me think even harder on, didn't think about that, didn't think about that, didn't think about that. And a lot that's why you're needed. You know what I'm saying? So in these type of situations, I can only imagine if you're presenting in front of 30 or 40 people, you're probably spending a good hour after it's over of people asking you questions or how can are you available, one-on-one or whatever the case may be, because what you just said was it was golden from a perspective. And I hate to use this word, but I'm going to use it. the kids that are they're needed. I mean, the needy kids per se, their parents don't have it. So they're trying to find a way without having mom and dad go into financial ruin to make it happen. And it just depends, like you said, on how hungry that kid is. And sometimes these kids can see it turns into, like you said, it turns into internship, which turns into job. It turns into, in some cases, extra money. In some cases, it turns into extra, free food or free T-shirts, whatever the case may be. And sometimes, like you said, it may spark a passion in them, depending on what it is. And let's say that let's say they got an NIL deal or partnership with a clothing line, and they wanted to jump into entrepreneurship. This may spark that. This may spark all of that. And I know this podcast is about basketball, but this is also about the business side of sports as well. And both of us know that we played and XYZ, but it was a long time ago for me. So, but had I had this, oh man,
Yeah. Basketball is a business, right? Yeah. So you're either capitalizing off of it or you're getting used. It's either one of the two, right? So that's why I'm like, I put out promo like, you're crazy if you know that you playing any type of college basketball, because either you're going to get used or you're going to have an NIL plan for yourself so that you can use this opportunity, use your platform so that you can make sure you're set up in the future. And it is a business, so you don't want to get played.
And then what would be your advice for the person that's just trying to find their way and they're pointing in your direction and say, hey, coach, listen, I've been pointing in your direction. You can see the hunger in that person's eyes and they're saying, I'm trying to get this by any means necessary, and they may come to you from not the best of financial backgrounds. And that doesn't even matter because, like you said, you brought a great example up of, we know Ivy League tuition is not to be played with. And a lot of high academic D3s are not to be played with. Sometimes you're talking 40, 50, 60, upwards of $70,000 sometimes. So, that loan comes and nobody wants that loan for 40, 45. So they're like, oh, no, I'm trying to cut this down, or they're not trying to graduate and they owe $250,000, $320,000. Or if they went to med school, how is $460,000, $600,000. And nobody wants to be in that type of debt over some piece of paper. There's a good guy down here in Atlanta by the name of Corey Black. And, one of his biggest slogans is D-free. And, it doesn't matter the level. If you go to school for free is what matters. And I look at you as a vessel to obtain that. You know what I mean? And you just said, don't let them use you or you will get used. I mean, that's just the cold, hard truth of this. And you're so needed. And thank you so much for what you're doing, because this is, in our type of neighborhoods, it's called you doing God's work. You know what I mean?
I like to think that I'm doing my purpose and doing this because, God need me to do it, or I've been blessed with this knowledge and I've been blessed with the opportunities that I had graduating, getting a coaching job right out of college and going to be at the University of Kentucky staff. So definitely a blessing. So I do like to think that I'm giving back and like trying to be a blessing to others. So I appreciate you saying that.
Sure. No, that's, I like that when I think of that, because, it's been brought to me, oh, you're doing God's work. But no, when I'm listening to you, I'm like, oh, yeah, this right here. Yes. Yes.
Hey, no, I appreciate that. I needed that for sure. Because, I'm not taking nobody's NIL money. I'm just teaching. So, so yeah, I'm definitely trying to give out all the information, all the knowledge that I can so that people can benefit from it.
I know. And I agree wholeheartedly because, like, as you can see, I'm passionate about, what I do, but in talking to you and just a few minutes, I was like, oh yeah, I see she got that fire, she got that fire in her eye too, which is a good thing. And a lot of times people don't understand, like, yes, you're running a business, but you're not doing this from a perspective of, I'm trying to take all your money. I'm trying to sell you the highest package I can so I can profit the most off of you. Like, this is something where it's a purpose and you feel good about your purpose. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
and I'm only speaking for myself, because I say this all the time. Like, if you don't have a purpose and passion for what you're doing, you're just doing it to pay bills.
Mm-hmm.
Not hating on that. You got to live. Everybody has to live. And sometimes you have to do that to get to what you really want to do. God knows I'm an example of that. But, it's just one of those things, what you're doing right now, there's going to be so many people. I don't care about race or gender or any of that, because it's needed on both sides. And, women's sports is exploding right now, exploding. So, Coach Foy, hey, marketability, it's there. And not only is it there, and a lot of them are making more money than the men.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're
brands love working with women. Brands actually work with women more than they work with men. Men may get paid more through collective contracts, but as far as brand deals, women are taking off with that.
But, and again, that's the importance of this. So, like, these young ladies that are in these D3s, NAIs, take heed. Go listen to what she has to say. Like you said, they can buy the recording, correct?
Yes. So the program, you can get it and watch it immediately. And also, like, the thing about it is, you're building a skill set for yourself, right? So the same skill that you need to build up your brand and get NIL deals, that's the same skill that you need to pitch yourself for jobs, right? So you either have that skill when you graduate, or you don't. So, like, forget NIL. And this one thing that Derek Coles, the NIL director at the NIL at the NCAA, he emphasizes, like, you need these skills, the network, so you can get a job, because your net worth is your network. So if you don't even know how to introduce yourself properly, if you don't know how to pitch yourself properly, if you don't know how to explain your personal value properly, then how in the world can you get a job, right? I'm sure you know this. Like, when you are in high school, you're being courted around by your parents. Like, that's not real, right? And in the recruiting process, you're being courted around by coaches. That's not real, right? So once you feel that, and now you got to handle business, and now you got expectations and accountability, and nobody holding your hand, it's a shock to the system, right? So participating in NIL, that gives you the uncomfort. Like, okay, now I know how to interact. Now I know how to put myself in uncomfortable positions and be okay. I know how to deal with strangers. I know how to be accountable and deliver on deliverables that I may be asked to do when it's not my parent doing it for me or my coach making me do it. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I always say NIL is an individual sport, and you need to know how to deal with these things as an individual, because nobody's gonna do this stuff for you. Like, and parents know this, but parents still continue to court their kids around like, this is reality, is not reality. like, why are you doing this? So
that's a great point. And when it comes to when they graduate from college, they ready to come back home and go back to what they're used to. Whereas if they've been pushed to excel and quote unquote leave the nest, they're ready to rock and roll by themselves and be independent, that every parent wants their child to be.
Exactly. And then Connor, who was on the boot camp, the D3 student athlete, I mean, he was flown out to the NBA All-Star. He did projects with Meta. He's working with Nike now. He did something else. I can't remember what it was. WNBA All-Star, the Super Bowl, like all of these events where he's in these rooms learning how to network, right? And we talking about a D3 men's basketball player that only played 2 years in college, right? So
wow,
these skills and these opportunities in these rooms that you can put yourself in, if you understand how to navigate and not depend on your parents, or parents understanding that you have to make your kid learn these skills, right? Or put them in a position, enroll them in my program so that they can learn these skills, so they're not looking silly and just depending on basketball, just being an athlete. Like, what is just being an athlete? There's nothing, right? There's nothing.
But that's a great point, which you brought up right there, because we put so much focus on quote unquote making it to this point. But once, even if it is obtained, there's nobody has, well, I'm not gonna say nobody, that's not good. Nobody, well, not nobody, but a lot of people do not have the wherewithal to say, okay, now that I've made it, now what? Now it's just like, oh, my baby made it. No, it's like, okay, now that you're here, what you gonna do? And,
Exactly.
what you're saying, oh my gosh, when I interview preseason, kids, and I like to ask one question at the end of every interview: when this is all over, what do you see yourself doing? And they look at me absolutely crazy a lot of times, or to give me the general answer: I'm trying to go overseas.
And then do what though? You can be overseas and you also can be investing in real estate. You can also be doing a lot of things while you're overseas. So,
Yes, exactly.
Why make yourself one dimensional, and why
I
not?
think we fail. I think we fail as a community, or just a basketball community as a whole. I think we fail that, okay, once you make it to this quote unquote pinnacle, okay, you've made it. Oh, that's so far from the truth. Yeah. Because, I mean, when these 4 years are over, and they're going to go fast. Those 4 years are going to go fast. You're like, man, I was just a freshman. No, you get ready to graduate. Now what you going to do? I don't know. It's too late for that. Now, mom that was at every game is like, son, daughter, whatever the case may be, you need to come up with a plan. To your point of what you said, that plan should have been cultivated a long time ago, past just going to 5 a.m. workouts, past just trying to, get an offer or commit somewhere. I think that's where the community is failing. And, I'm glad that NCAA and a lot of other people are doing stuff to try and at least educate people to say, listen, you need to, think more outside the box. And hello, here's Coach Floyd. How you doing? If you're thinking outside the box, at least she's giving you an avenue to think about something that can enhance your skills, not just over these next 4 years, but it could parlay into something even bigger.
Absolutely. I mean, your NIL plan, it includes that. It includes what you want to do. It includes your other interests outside of sport. It includes all these other things. And yeah, I love that you use the word failure, because people look at me crazy when I say it. Like, no, you failed. Like, if all you know is your sport, you fail. I mean, cause, and
yes. This is supposed to be used as a vessel to get, like, yes, we all love sports. That's obvious. Me and you are on here talking about a podcast about sports, but now we're talking the business side, because, like you said, whether it's injury or the 4 years of eligibility are up, okay, that's 21 to 22, maybe 23 years of your life. You have the rest of your life in front of you. You're telling me you just worked hard for these 23 years and you don't have a plan to cultivate off of these 23 years of what you did? Yes, it's a failure.
And then you went all these 23 years and you did 4 years in college, and you did not connect with no donors. You didn't connect with no people that you can call and say, hey, can you connect me with this job opportunity? Or do you know anybody in your network, right? If you don't learn any skill from my program, at least it's networking. Like, anybody that you're around, I work with a freshman who's in college right now. It's her freshman summer in college. And I'm like, you make sure you're talking to everybody. And she's talking to everybody. She's like, I'm having this conversation. And I'm like, yeah, okay. If I don't do anything else for her, I'm going to make sure that she network and use the resources that's around her, because, you look silly when you graduate, you have nothing. And I hate I'm not trying to be blunt, but I'm just trying to understand that you have a choice, right? And if you choose just to focus on basketball, you choose to be a failure, and when you don't have any idea. right? And it's different when you don't have a choice. It's different when it just happened. And sometimes it's sad. And again, I'm not trying to be insensitive, but you can choose to put your kids in these situations right now. You can choose to have them in different programs. You can choose to have them, you know, pick up their own phone and talk, right? And not you talk for them. You know what I'm saying? So, um, failing the kids is exactly what it is when they don't know how to maneuver, when they don't know how to navigate, when they don't know how to utilize their resources because they are a different person than you and they have different aspects, aspirations than what you may be saying. So, put them in a position to be able to navigate on their own.
I love it. Like I said, I love it. Let's go ahead and put this out there again. How can they contact you? What is your handle on Twitter, Instagram? How can people reach out to you?
So my Instagram, well, my Twitter handle is NIL Coach Ish. You can find me on Instagram by my name, Aisha Foy, AISHAFOY. All things NIL. You can go to majornilsuccess.com. You can register for the boot camp right now and watch it immediately. Um, and yeah, you know, I have an academy, so we meet. Like building a brand for me and for my athletes is a lifestyle. So with the academy, we work every month, different sessions a month. I work with parents, agent parent 101, teaching parents these same skills. But yeah, you know, let's work, let's get a plan together. You know, let's be let's use your sport and not let your sport use you. Because if you don't have a plan, that's exactly what you're doing. You're letting the sport use you. You're letting your coach use you. You're letting everybody use you. If you don't have a plan to maximize on this opportunity.
Where are you located?
Right now, I'm located in Virginia.
Okay, so you're in Virginia. I was in Virginia. My son played in Virginia Thanksgiving of last year. And where's Apprentice School at? Is that Norfolk? It's in Norfolk. No, not Norfolk.
Newport News.
Newport News. Yes, in Newport News. So they played there, and then while they were there, they played Regent University as well. So yeah, I was up there during that time, right before Thanksgiving. So do you have anything where you teach live there for people that from the Virginia area?
I don't have anything planned so far to do in person.
You just do everything online, right?
Yeah, like, you know,
Okay.
you can book a call, book a session, phone
Mhm.
call, Zoom, whatever the case may be. But that's how I do all my business and my coaching is online.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. Listen, thank you so much. I could have went another hour easily, but we'll bring you back on. And you know, I know for me, like this is bigger than me. I'm gonna promote what you're doing like crazy because it's needed. I mean, people have no idea, and there's so many opportunities out there. And you know, in the midst of us going through this, I was texting people, "Hey man, you need to tap in. Like, hey man, you need to tap in. Hey sister, you need to tap in. You have a kid. You have a kid, and you know, some of them are in the college stages. Some of them are in the high school stages. Like all of them, like you need to tap in. There is opportunity. Take advantage."
Yep. And I want to say this before we leave. So anybody that wants to tap into the boot camp is a great thing to start with. I also have free resources. The boot camp is paid, is definitely worth it. So go ahead and invest in it. But if not, if you're a little hesitant and want to learn a little bit more, I do have free resources like a webinar just like this. It breaks down everything if you want to start there. But don't hesitate. Learn, engage, like understand what it's all about, understand how you can help your athlete. And yeah.
So is that webinar on your page, or so like you said, you know, sometimes people can be skeptical and I understand that. So how can they get, like I say, when you go to the mall and get a little free testing at the cafeteria?
Yeah, so if you go to majornilsuccess.com, it'll be a place where you can go. You type in your name and email, right? When you type in your name, email, it's gonna send you a link with free resources, right?
Okay.
So immediately you will get, and I gave away a bunch of stuff. Conversation with an attorney, a get a started lesson. It's about 3 or 4 videos that you can watch that are free, right? Yeah, so you can start there. And then, but if you want to go ahead and get the boot camp, the registration does cost at the boot camp.
Okay. Listen, I'm sure there's going to be a number of people like, some people watch this live, but the majority of people from my show watch the recording. So I know what it's going to be. And like I said, I'm going to cut some snippets of this and play it as well, because I mean, you're amazing. And thank you. Thank you for coming on the show. Definitely.
Thank you. I also do free calls too. So if they want to talk to me, like I get it. Somebody who actually want to talk to the person. Anybody can reach out to me. In the first email that you'll get, my number is up there on my website. My number is right there. It's at my actual phone. So reach out and we can have a conversation. I can help the athlete. MajorNILSuccess.com. Register.
MajorNILSuccess.com. I got it memorized already. and I appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming on. And I mean, to be honest, I want to bring you on at least a couple times a year, because this is needed. And to be honest, it's going to be your show. Like I said, I'll sit back. Like, hey, how's everybody doing? Pass the ball.
Let's do it. Thank you for having me. Thank you for everything that you're doing in this space as well.
Oh, no problem. Thank you. I mean, when it's passionate, and like I said, I'm cool with not averaging 20. I'm cool with being a role player. You know what I'm saying? I'm cool with being, as they say, good at my role.
Absolutely.
So, and when this is you, I look crazy trying to outdo you in something that you're really good at. So, as they say, go eat. Go eat. Go ahead and eat. But again, all seriousness, thank you so much for coming on the show. And I look forward to bringing you on a regular basis, because, I bring people on from a sports medicine perspective, how they can stay healthy and keep injuries to a minimum. I bring people on to talk about financial aid. This is something that's important to me, that I want them to be successful and win. I want them to win, as our high school coach would say, win at the game of life.
Absolutely. And that's what we do. That's what we do at Major NIL Success. We create legendaries. I mean, we create legends. We make life legendary. We do what we need to do to build a brand and make it last a lifetime.
Listen, I'm all in. I'm all in. Audience, get used to this face. You will see her on this show more often. And again, thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. This has been amazing. I can't wait to do some brushing up. So you're gonna be hearing from me. I'm like, hey, question, what's this right here? Tell me about this.
All righty, let's do it.
Definitely. So that's gonna wrap it up for the show tonight. But man, to me, this has been one of the most important shows that I've done in these. Episode 91, we're getting close to 100. But out of them 91s, yours is right up there of importance, because this is bigger than basketball. And, like I said, this right here is taking you to the next step when the ball stops bouncing, because it's going to stop bouncing at some point. I don't care who you are.
Absolutely.
So that's going to do it for tonight. Again, thank you for this has been, look, I feel like I done came from church and like, boy, she done preached today, boy. She done preached. She done gave that word. But I appreciate you, and I'm gonna let you go now. And before I wrap it up, but from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we'll talk soon. Okay.
All righty.
All right, take care. Listen, I don't care if trust me. I've had NBA kid guys on here, WNBA ladies on here. This is one of the more important shows that I could say coming on, this podcast coming up on number 100. I mean, I want to see y'all win. I don't want this to be you in the barbershop talking about 50 years ago. I was giving them 50. I want you talking about how you use this to be successful later on in life. Yeah, I want you to be successful on the court, but I see too many kids fail once this is over, or if it doesn't work out, because they don't have a plan, or they haven't used what they learned in college to pretty much take themselves to a higher level. So, we want to keep doing this. Like I said, I've had people on here from sports medicine, people for NIL, people for financial aid, and all this is important. I've had people on here even talk about how you can use the military to your advantage, to get into college if you can afford it as well. And your eligibility freezes while you're in the military as well. And every avenue is not for everybody, but it's options. So when my son was going through this whole thing, I told him my job was to provide him options. You make whatever choice you want, but you can have choice A, B, C, or D. And at least you have that to be able to make an option, whether you're just forced to take option A and that's your only option. That's going to do it for tonight, man. Thank you guys so much for coming in tonight and tuning in as usual. Man, we're going to keep doing this thing. It's about education. Don't get me wrong. It's about basketball. I love the game as well, but I can't stand to see where these kids are failing once it's over. And I just want to keep pounding that on people's heads over and over again. Quick announcement, boy, I tell folks, and we're going to do a little small podcast as well. We have the Women's Hoops Hitting Gyms Southeast Top 100 camp coming up September 14th. Going to be some ESPN Top 100 kids. It's going to be some EYBL kids. It's going to be some Under Armour kids. It's going to be some Three Stripe kids. It's going to be some very good independent kids. Classes 24. I'm sorry, excuse me. Ooh. Class 25, 26, 27, and 28. 24s are off to college now. But, we want to keep giving that exposure, so those kids that are the hidden gems, this is another opportunity for you to be able to play in front of coaches and show, hey, I can hang with whether it's D1, D2, D3, or NAI. You never know when your opportunity may come, and you never know what coach is watching you and may be impressed by your game or the way you handle yourself while you're there. So, come check it out September 14th. The link is on our Twitter page, WBB Gyms. And hey, if it's for you, it's for you. If not, you'll know you need to go back and keep working at your game and perfect your craft. That'll do it for tonight. Thank you guys so much for checking in. I'm your host, David Jones. Good night.